Hello guys, well, if you watched my video yesterday, I said I was going to try to watch the New Japan show that took place Monday and give you guys a review. Well, I watched the show and I'm gonna give you my review. Holy crap, what a show from beginning to end. Maybe the best show all year in wrestling. It was that good. Let me get to the review. Opening match is a six-man tag team match. Tomohiro Ishii, Takashi Iizuka, and Toru Yano facing strongman Yuji Nagata and the returning Manabu Nakanishi. Actually, Nakanishi starts off the match and he gets triple teamed right at the beginning. But strongman and Nagata come in to save him. This was a pretty decent match, back and forth. It ended when Nakanishi got hit from behind with an illegal weapon, and then Yano ended up scoring the fall with his finishing move, the Uragasumi, to get the win. Next match, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, Kushida and Alex Shelley against Rocky Romero and Alex Kozlov. This was a very good match. And something that I can tell from these two teams is that they have chemistry. You know, and that's one of the things, to me, that I look for in a great tag team, is chemistry. The chemistry has to be there between the two members of the team. And it was there with both teams. It really was. So Kushida and Alex Shelley, they did a lot of flipping moves. Kozlov and Romero, they did a lot of the wrestling moves. They even had a funny spot at one point where Kozlov and Romero were in control. Romero was going to the corner. He was clotheslining Kushida, runs back, clotheslines Kushida, runs back, clotheslines Kushida, and it takes Kozlov to stop him. And then Kozlov and Romero are about to fight each other, but they fake that to the boo of the crowd. Pardon me. So at the end of the match, Kushida has Romero set up for a powerbomb, and Alex Shelley's going to climb off the top rope. He's going to hit some move. But Kozlov is there, takes Shelley down, so Kushida has Romero still in his powerbomb position, but Romero reverses it into a sunset flip, has a little bit advantage on the roll-up, gets the 3 count. Romero and Kozlov win, stay the tag team champs. Then we have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match, Low-Ki challenging Kota Ibushi. It was Ibushi who defeated Low-Ki to win the belt. This was a phenomenal match. I would have to say probably my second favorite match of the entire night, and of the show, and I'll get to the number one match a little bit later on in this review. But Low-Ki and Kota Ibushi, they just busted their asses in this match. It was back and forth, chops, kicks, high-flying moves, and the end of the match was really good. Low-Ki hit the key crusher from the top turnbuckle, just basically crushing everything in Ibushi's body. Low-Ki wins. He is the 3-time Junior Heavyweight Champion. And then after the match, Prince Devitt comes out because, he just came back from a tour of Mexico, and he proclaimed that he wants his belt back. And Low-Ki just said, you're going to be just like everybody else that I face. I'm going to beat him up, I'm going to chew him up, and I'm going to spit him out. So then we go to the IWGP Tag Team title match. Davey Boy Smith Jr., Harry Smith, and Lance Archer against Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima. Smith and Archer, right from the beginning, take advantage of this match, and for the most part, most of this match, they have the advantage. There would be some times in this match where Tenzan and Kojima, would have the advantage. They'd do a double team, or they'd, have the one up. But the end of this match, and I really liked this, and this was really cool. Archer had, first he had Tenzan in a full Nelson. Then Smith picks him up, and then Archer lifts up Tenzan, and then Smith drops him down. It's known as the Killer Bomb. It's basically a full Nelson, then he's lifted up into the power bomb position, and then he's lifted up a little bit more, and then sits out, and then they do it again to Satoshi Kojima. 1, 2, 3, Archer and Smith win. They are the new IWGP Tag Team Champions. Then we get our shortest match of the night, and for good reason, and I'll tell you why in a moment. It was Yujiro Takahashi against Tetsuya Naito. Now, for those of you who had not heard as of late, Naito suffered an ACL injury. And in Japan, they have this, not rule, but sort of a system, a mindset, where if your name is on the poster, if your face is on the poster for the next tour, even if you're hurt, you got to go through this tour. So basically the storyline is Naito's got this bad wheel, the bad ACL, and he's facing Takahashi, and Takahashi just completely destroys Naito. Like I said, it was the shortest match of the night, just under 6 minutes. It stopped when Takahashi had sort of like a death lock on Naito, and Naito just passed out. The referee stopped, and Yujiro Takahashi got the win. Hopefully, Naito's not on any tours for a while, so he can get this surgery done, get the rehab done, and then come back 100%, because he was really one of the best wrestlers this year, probably one of the breakout stars in 2012. I know I'm saying this as if, the year's over, but it's really not. But Naito's year is pretty much over. So we come back from intermission, and we have this tag team match. Katsuyori Shibata and Kazushi Sakuraba against Wataru Inoue and Toji Makabe. This would be the second shortest match on the show. But you know what? This was still a good match. I thought this was a good match. I've seen Makabe, I've seen Inoue. I've never heard of Sakuraba or Shibata, so I'm not even gonna. All I know is Sakuraba and Shibata came back to New Japan. That's all I know going into that match. But you know what? Shibata and Sakuraba look like a good tag team. They really do. And Inoue's in it for most of the match. Makabe's in for a couple minutes. He does the brawling outside of the ring. But the end of the match came when Sakuraba has a sleeper hold on Inoue, and then Shibata comes in and does this massive kick that knocks Inoue out, and Sakuraba and Shibata get the win. Then we have Carl Anderson against Kazuchika Okada. Now this match is for basically the #1 contendership to the main event of the Tokyo Dome show for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Now I like this idea. I really like this idea in the storyline, and I wish WWE would do this one of these years with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Have it defended as a title. So the storyline is Okada won the G1 Climax this year. And he's in a group called Chaos. Well, they decided that Okada will have his title shot at the New Japan show on January the 4th of 2013. So New Japan came up with this decision where Okada, since he is the #1 contender, has to defend the contract basically like a title, which I really like. And then whoever has it by the time of January the 4th is in the main event of the Tokyo Dome show, gets the title shot at the IWGP Heavyweight title. So, and I'm sure people are like, well, how would WWE be able to do that? Well, you just pick one of the two briefcases, say, I will defend this as a title, and it will no longer be a title once I cash it in. I know that, sounds a bit complicated in the process, but if you think about it, it could work. But I want to get back to this match. This was a very good match. Okada, at 24 years old, I want you guys to remember that. 24 years old. In this year alone, became IWGP Heavyweight Champion and won the G1 Climax. In 1 year. That is absolutely incredible. And Carl Anderson has what I think was a breakout match. He just looked on fire with Okada. Early on in the match, Okada has Anderson set up for a DDT on the floor. Anderson's feet are on the rail, and he hits him with the DDT, sort of like the Randy Orton DDT on the ropes, but with the guardrail. And then a little bit later, Anderson hits a neck breaker with Okada's head. I mean, his head bounced off the floor. It was sick. It was really sick. But I loved the end of this match. Loved it. Both men were trying for different, they were trying for different moves. Okada was trying for the tombstone. Anderson was trying for the tombstone. Okada was trying for the Rainmaker, his finishing move. Anderson tried to hit the Rainmaker. Okada tries another move. Anderson hits sort of an air raid crash, gets a 2 count, and then, it goes back and forth, and then Okada hits the tombstone, and then he hits Anderson with the Rainmaker, gets the 3 count, holds on to the briefcase and the contract. Very good match. Just very good. And then the IWGP Intercontinental title match, Hiroki Goto against Shinsuke Nakamura. This was a good match. And I feel it was a bit unfortunate in the way that the card was set up, that this match was in between the #1 contender match and the main event. Because basically, 2 of the 3 best matches on this show happened right at the end, and this match was in the middle. But this was still a good match. Goto and Nakamura have very good chemistry together. I enjoyed this match. At one point, Goto did, I guess you could say, like a reverse UFO, unidentified flying opponent, the move that Claudio used to do many years ago. And it was just back and forth, and Nakamura hits Goto with a knee, and then he hits him with his running kick finishing move, the Bumaye, gets the 3 count, Nakamura wins, retains the Intercontinental title. Then we go to the main event. Minoru Suzuki against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Best match of the show. Best match. And will get consideration for match of the year. I don't know if it'll be the match of the year, but it's going to get a lot of talk, I think, for match of the year. And for those of you who've never seen Hiroshi Tanahashi before, Tanahashi is basically Japan's version of John Cena, except he can wrestle, the fans like him, and he's a hell of a wrestler. He really is. And both these guys, you know what? It was such a completely different match than you would think. With Tanahashi, he could fly, he could do a lot of moves, but Suzuki is a ground wrestler. And they just went back and forth. And the story really was, during the match, Tanahashi does a dragon whip on the leg of Suzuki and goes right after the leg of Suzuki. These two men go back and forth, and it's just a brawl. It's a fight. I mean, they're just slapping each other, punching each other, chopping each other. And then it gets towards the end where Suzuki's leg eventually gives out, and Tanahashi hits the high fly flow, which is his frog splash. He does a crossbody high fly flow, and then he does the high fly flow. 1, 2, 3. Tanahashi wins, stays IWGP Heavyweight Champion, in a tremendous match. Like I said, best match of the show. Would definitely be in my list of the best matches of the year. Easily top 5. Maybe top 3. Maybe. Because the match with Okada and Naito from earlier this year was really good too. But that's pretty much the show. And I'm sure you guys have all heard about it. This was a 4-hour show, 9 matches. This was worth it. This was worth the $25. Top to bottom, there really wasn't a bad match. There really wasn't one bad match where you were like, oh, I don't care how this ends. I want to skip this. I don't care. And that's the sign of a really good show. Is you don't have that feeling of, oh, can we just skip this? It was just a great show from beginning to end. I'm sure it's up on YouTube by now. I'm sure, and it's going to be sold on DVD. Over here, IVP videos, Rudo Reels will probably sell them. So this is a definite thumbs up. I would give this my vote right now for the show of the year. I really would. My top 3 matches in order: Tanahashi and Suzuki would be number 1. Low-Ki and Ibushi would be number 2. And Okada and Anderson would be number 3. Now, before I end this video, I do want to talk about the whole internet pay-per-view thing. Like I said, yes, it did cost $25, but like I said, this was worth it. Should New Japan do this in the near future? I really think they should, because they got a decent amount of money out of this. However, the problem was not a lot of people ordered this event on internet pay-per-view, because it just seems like this was sort of rushed together. I mean, yes, they said it was an internet pay-per-view, but, oh, you son of a... Anyway, but they didn't tell you until maybe the week of the show, the week before the show, what website was going to carry this, and that was a little bit of a problem. If I'm New Japan, and I want to try an internet pay-per-view again, and in my opinion, the next one has to be the January 4th Tokyo Dome show. That would be my next choice. You have to do this 4 weeks in advance of that show. You have to say what website's going to carry it, how much is it going to be, what time, what's the card, all that. If you can do that, if they can do that, they could get a lot more views. They could get a lot more buys from internet pay-per-view than they did with this one. But, like I said, this was their first time doing it outside of Japan, and money-wise, it seems like it was a success. I think the total ended up being like $7,700, which is pretty good, considering the economy in general. But all in all, like I said, very good show, top to bottom, show of the year. And if you guys ever have the time, if you have 4 hours to spare, I definitely recommend watching King of Pro Wrestling.